it's whatever. So, I don't know. We don't need another intro, right? Fine.
We don't need another intro.
This will probably be like part 2 or something. I don't know. Whatever. You guys know who we are, maybe. If not, oh well. First question, how much is membership monthly at that gym? That gym is Olympus Sports Coliseum, 4500 Pearl Drive, Sacramento, California, 95838. Come visit us. Membership is $30 a month, which is still an amazing deal if you consider all the stuff we have here. We have deadlift bar, power bar for both squat and bench. We have a competition platform, 4 combo racks, and anything else you would possibly need to be a powerlifter.
Just 3 other platforms that you can use even if you're a powerlifter.
Yeah, we have a total of 5 platforms. Yeah, you don't need more than that. Next question, what are both of your guys' current and future goals with bodybuilding / powerlifting? Ahem, Tyler, are you gonna go WNBF Pro in Hawaii? From Alex Wynn. Well, I can tell you for sure I'm not gonna go pro in the next year because I might not compete in the next year. I might do that show though in Hawaii, maybe not next summer, but the summer after that. And you know, whenever I come back, I'm hoping that I'm competitive enough to take my pro card, who knows. For bodybuilding, my goal right now is just to build up enough muscle so that when I come back to the stage, whenever that might be, I am big enough to be competitive with people like this, which is gonna take me a while. I do think that my strength has always been, and probably always will be, my conditioning.
He's stronger than me in a deadlift.
That doesn't matter on a bodybuilding.
Stronger than me in a deadlift. I'm 250 pounds. That is sad.
But anyway, okay, so for bodybuilding, my goal is to get big enough so that I can be competitive with the open, possibly win my pro card in the WNBF at some point. And then for powerlifting, my immediate goal would be, I'm hoping to compete sometime like early next year so that I can, I'm thinking that my numbers where they are, if I can actually perform in competition, they should be good enough to get me, or at least get me close to the national record for both. Like hands down, the deadlift will be fine. But the thing I'm concerned about more is the total. I don't know for sure whether or not I'm strong enough to take the total record, but if I am, great. If I'm not, whatever. So yeah, my goal is whenever I come back for powerlifting, I want to take those records back. And if either way, like the more important goal, I guess, is a 1500 total with a, let's say a 700 or close to 700 deadlift. And what about you?
Most of you guys know me as a bodybuilder, so I'll tell you my goals with that first. I don't plan on only doing bodybuilding. Right now, obviously I have my Canada show, that's my first pro show in the WNBF, and then I have Worlds. So I want to do very well there. After that, I don't think I'm going to. Canada is in Edmonton, Alberta on October 24th, and then Worlds is in November 13th and 14th. So after that, I don't think I'm going to compete for another maybe 2 or 3 years. But in terms of powerlifting, so I want to be an elite level powerlifter in maybe 2 years. And then also along with that, I want to do a lot of different things. Maybe it's too much, and some people are going to say it's way too much on the plate, but right after I'm done with my bodybuilding, I plan on starting judo, just because like it's cool and it's something I've always actually wanted to do. And actually it could help with power production because you need to know how to throw, you need to learn how to use your hips, so it could actually transfer to powerlifting. I want to see if it will. And I also want to take up weightlifting along with bodybuilding and powerlifting and all these things. I mean, I've always been an athlete and I want to dominate a lot of sports.
To be clear, you mean like Olympic lifting, right?
Yeah, I mean Olympic lifting.
That'll be interesting.
I have good mobility. It should be interesting. I mean, I know I'm a really big dude, so
you have probably awful proportions for Olympic lifting.
Yeah, probably. But you know what? There's no hurt in trying. I know that I'm going to do judo though. So I want to do a lot of things, but in my long term, I want to be one of the best natural bodybuilders ever. And I mean, I don't want you guys to like get the wrong idea and like I'm saying I am. I'm saying I want to be in the future. That's a long-term goal. We all want to be the best at what we do. So I want to be one of the best at that. Hopefully, maybe in my far future, the best.
I think we can confidently say that like you're already one of the biggest stroke-free bodybuilders in the world. So you figure if not this season, like if you were to come in like elite level conditioning, like top level conditioning at your current like size this season, you would already probably be one of the top in the world.
Maybe.
No, I'm telling you, you would. I'm like very confident in that. But I guarantee you that at some point in your life, you'll probably be among at the very least, at every pro show, you'll always be like top 3. Because there's nobody that's that big and that looks like you with the same sort of structure and symmetry.
We'll see. I mean, new people come every single year. So who knows who's gonna come in the future? Who knows who isn't bodybuilding now, who's gonna bodybuild later? Because there's a lot of guys out there bigger than me that just don't choose to do bodybuilding. And if they choose to do bodybuilding, they would murder
something more mainstream. So. Next question from Rick Bros. Do you ever hit a PR and then for the next couple of weeks, just that lift just feels like crap? I just hit a deadlift PR 2 weeks ago, and all of my deadlift sessions after have been shit. Like I forgot how to do my form and stuff somehow. What the fuck? Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like after you PR, especially if it's close to 100%, like full capacity, you probably feel like very spent, like kind of wrecked for a few days at least. But there's no reason that it should feel that bad for that long. I'd say like you want to be able to make consistent. Yeah, that's a good point. You can talk about that actually. Yeah, go for it.
If you're feeling like shit for the next 2 weeks after you just hit a massive PR, that's a sign that maybe you should take your foot off the gas for a little bit. Instead of working close to maximal weight, maybe work at 55, 60 something percent for the next few weeks, maybe a week and a half, and then see if your strength starts to come back, because that just means that, like he said, you're spent. You need to take your foot off the gas right now. Or, and there's a very, very, very slim chance of you becoming overtrained, but if you continue down that path for long enough time, that could happen. But I mean, it's probably not going to, but that's why you just right now, take a deload, go a little bit easier in the gym, don't kill yourself, and then go back to what you're doing, bring yourself back into it at a fairly slow pace.
I'm assuming that when you say you hit a PR, you're probably talking about like a new 1 rep max. I think it's important to understand that whenever you test your max, you're spending that time not making progress. So like every time you test, you're probably gonna feel like crap for a little while after. And even before that, you probably should be tapering to make sure you can test fairly effectively. And in that time, you're not going to be making progress as far as like getting stronger, building work capacity. So it makes more sense for long-term progress to test very infrequently so that you can continue progressing.
What program do you recommend to early/intermediate lifters? All right, this is from Jason Chow. What program do I recommend to early intermediate lifters? Okay, Jason, so
Titanium DUP, that's it.
Titanium DUP.
Just kidding, that's not a good one. That's not.
Okay, so I'm guessing you're saying novice to intermediate lifters. And with this question, my man, I have no prior information to what has this lifter been doing, the amount of volume this lifter has been able to handle, the amount of frequency that this lifter has been doing the big 3 per week and accessory work. A lot of the times, like we said before, it's going to be, it depends, because it depends on the individual. What has the individual been doing up to this point? How's the individual been progressing up until this point? Then how can we make sure that we continue to help them progress in the most optimal fashion for them based on their lifestyle?
I'd say, like as a very, very general recommendation, if you have just started lifting or you're fairly new to lifting, linear progression is probably the fastest you'll progress. So as long as you can progress linearly, like in a straight line, do that for as long as you possibly can. And when you get to a point where you've milked linear progression for all it's worth, and it's hard to say where that point is, but once you get there, then you'll have to start looking into periodization, and that's a little more complicated. And that's why you have like so many different like powerlifting programs out there to help you continually progress.
And like, yeah, even Tyler said, like linear progression, you want, like a lot of us can get away with that for a very long time, and we don't do it because we see a lot of people doing DUP, small. It's trendy, you know what I mean? But we can get away with doing a lot of very simple things for a very long period of time. And the only time that I think you really need to go and consider a program change is if you're actually an intermediate lifter or an advanced or elite level lifter, then you really need some complexity in there. But for most of us, and for most of you guys, not that much complexity is necessary for gain in strength and hypertrophy.
Andrew J. Jimmy says, what's you guys' dick size then? Don't worry, I'm not the creepy guy in my, is that like avatar?
That's his avatar, yeah.
I have a good answer, can I say it?
Let's go,
So the answer for both of us probably is like, imagine the hugest dick you've ever seen in your life. We're both smaller than that. Next question.
Substantially. In my case, substantially. Okay.
Or also you can imagine the smallest you've ever seen.
And a little bit smaller than that.
I was gonna say like bigger than that.
Smaller.
Your ankles look very mobile. Do you stretch them, or are they part of your mobility / warm-up? Do you have any videos on your squat mobility exercise warm-up? I do have a video. It's a pretty old one of my my lower body mobility routine. So if you just go on the channel, use the search function, the search mobility, you'll find that one. There's also a more recent video that I show you like my daily routine for mobility, so go check that out. I actually don't have great ankle mobility. It might look that way just because my femurs are really long and my knees have to displace a certain amount.
I have a video on my channel that shows some of the pre-squat stuff that I do, pre-squat and deadlift stuff that I do. It's not very intensive, so it's something that you guys will be able to pick up if you have a single band or a rumble or foam roller in your gym. It's fairly simple, but it will help. So yeah.